Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, Mathmech Circular has just arrived in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, kind of like a surprise update to a couple of other decks, along with Linkage, which we may talk about later in Sky Striker. But, notably, Mathmech Circular kind of does everything for Mathmech. It is a Foolish Burial, while also being a summon, while also being a way to search out Factorial. So, yeah, it's kind of really good. So let's quickly talk about the deck and the plan with the deck, and then explain overall what the strategy is. So first things first, they're all Cybers. Fantastic. That means we can basically use all of the cool Cyber stuff like Transcode, Splash Mage, Heat Soul, and the like to just go into some pretty decent boards, but at the very least some resilient boards. Pretty nice. On top of that, they have a lot of ways to get monsters onto their side of the field through massive special summoning and the like, including Circular and the etc. So first off, we have Sigma, which if you don't control a monster in the extra monster zone, you can special summon this from hand or grave. Also, it banishes it when it leaves the field. Then we have Addition and Subtraction, which do the same thing, just in reverse. So Addition increases the attack of a monster on the field, and Subtraction decreases it by 1,000, and then they both just special summon themselves. Pretty simple. And it just targets a face-up monster on the field. So you can even Subtraction your opponent's monster, or you could Addition your own, or your opponent's, just to get a free summon onto the field. Very nice. Next up, we have Diameter. On normal summon, target a level 4 Cybers in the graveyard, and special summon it. Pretty nice. However, it can't activate its effects. And a Mathmech monster that was Synchro or Xyz summoned using this card on the field as material gains the effect to once per turn during the turn this card was special summoned. When your opponent activates a card or effect, Omni Negate. Just negate the effect. Now granted, it only negates the effect, it doesn't negate and destroy, but having it in additional negate is pretty nice, especially to potentially stop a hand activation or something like that. So overall, pretty solid card. And this is more or less what we're wanting to go into because of that additional effect. We want it in the grave for the super factorial or for something else. Then we have Circular, which is able to send a Mathmech monster for cost and then special summon this card. And then also, it does lock you into only attacking with one monster for the rest of this turn, which does suck, but hey, what can you do? But if a Mathmech monster is normal or special summoned to your field, while you control this monster, you can add a Mathmech spell trap from your deck to your hand. We're playing two targets. We are playing the one Mathmech Equation, which is just another free special summon. It's just Monster Reborn. And then we also have ourselves Super Factorial. This card is absolutely insane. You can target up to 3 Mathmech monsters in your graveyard with different names. Activate one of these effects. Special summon them, then Synchro summon, or special summon them, then Xyz summon. Pretty simple. Also, if you Synchro summon, you shuffle the materials into the deck instead of sending them back to the graveyard. Don't know why that's the case, but hey, it is. So yeah, this just allows us to go into our Laplation during the opponent's turn to send cards away. We'll talk about Laplation in a second. But this is basically Tri-Brigade Revolt. It's just Tri-Brigade Revolt, but worse. It specifically has to target monsters in the graveyard with different names, which does kind of suck, but it allows you to get something like Diameter onto your materials during the opponent's turn, so it gets that negate, which is very, very nice. And then, of course, we're also pairing it off with a whole bunch of just really solid Cybers support, namely Parallel Exceed as well as Signet Mining. And Parallel Exceed is really good because all of our 4s are generic, so any of the rank 4s we can go into generically off of this card as well. So, very nice. And then, of course, we're just playing a whole bunch of tech cards. 2 Effect Veiler, 2 Max C, Triple Ash Blossom, the 1 Nibiru. This is actually a Small World bridge for Small World, so we can actually go like Small World, send anything with like the necessary requirements, like for example, a 600 defense, or actually it's just the fact that it's a light, more or less. But yeah, you can go like send Effect Veiler, bridge through Nibiru, and then search out either Diameter or Circular, which is very, very nice. Obviously, we have the Small World. We have ourselves the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. We have triple Signet Mining. We have a double Cyclone. Cyclone's just good in general, just due to the fact that like there are a lot of things that you want to banish, and we're already playing like a myriad of hand traps. So there's not really a point in adding more hand traps for like monster effects. So instead we're going with Cosmic Cyclone so that we can like set them off of a Heat Soul. there you go. And then we have ourselves double called by and triple infit. As for the extra deck, we are running double Laplation. This card is absolutely insane. Sometimes it can be very good. It's basically Dingirsu. Because if a card would be destroyed, you just detach a material instead. Specifically a Mathmech card. But if it's Exceed, you can detach up to 3 materials, then choose that many effects. You cannot choose the same effect twice. And then you basically get to send a card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard. You can send a monster your opponent controls to the graveyard, or you can send a spell trap from your opponent's that your opponent controls to the graveyard. This is really good. A lot of decks honestly have like a field spell. So if they go like field spell, monster, you can go no and send both of them, which is very cool. And then also get a rip a card out of the opponent's hand. And since we're also Xyz summoning this on the opponent's turn with Super Factorial, yeah, it's pretty good. It's really nice disruption. So yeah, that's it. And then also on top of that, it gets the diameter effect, which means that you can also negate. So if they go for a negate to stop you from doing that, like for example an infip or something along those lines, you could just go no and then do it anyway. So that's nice. Then we have Alimbertion. Any 2 monsters allows you to add a Mathmech card from your deck to your hand on summon. That's basically it. Also, you could tribute a monster in order to special summon a Mathmech from hand to graveyard, which is nice to trigger your circular effect. We have 1 Link Spider in case we get nibbed. We have 1 Almirage, 1 Lingaribo, just so that we have as many targets to get like a potential monster off of the field or to go into his cybers. Almirage is really nice because you can actually like normal summon a hand trap and then just link it off for Almirage to get a cybers, which is very, very good. Then we have ourselves Update Jammer and Access Code, pretty standard there. We have IP Masquerena as well as a Unicorn to go into off of the IP Masquerena. We have double Splash Mage, we have 1 Transcode, we have 1 Heat Soul, and we have 1 Avermax. So that's the deck. Let's hop into the replays and show you how this deck performs. Alright, so here we are going second, and hey, we drew a pretty decent going second hand. Cosmic, Nib, Infip, feeling pretty good. And my opponent goes for Signet Mining. Okay, they're, adding Flame Buffalo. Okay, so it's not the mirror match, but all things considered, it's basically the mirror. They're going to go for Baylings here. Activate Baylings, Chainlink 1, Flame Buffalo, Chainlink 2. Okay, not exactly the greatest of players, but sure. They're going to go for Circle to add a Gazelle. Short. They're going to go and then activate their Spinny in order to bring it back. And then they're going to go and relink the Baylings. Okay, out comes Gazelle. Gazelle effect, activate. They send Foul. At this point, I realize, okay, my opponent doesn't know what they're doing. I'm just going to nib. It's fine. My opponent passes the turn. Can't really do anything. Great, fantastic. Doesn't matter. We're going to go for Circular here, and we're going to activate the effect. We're going to dump Addition, and out comes Maxi. Okay, not anything that we can do about that. So I'm just going to normal summon the Subtraction. We're going to add the Super Factorial, and then proceed to the battle phase. I'm also going to then link these guys off into an IP Masquerena, so that we actually have the Super Factorial live. Pretty nice. My opponent passes back. They're going to set to 2 and pass. At this point, I will just proceed to absolutely clean them up. So we are going to go for the Super Factorial, special 1, 2, and my opponent scoops it up. At that point, we could have gotten rid of their monster, their spell on their field, as well as the card in hand, while also doing this under a negate. And then also go for IP Masquerena if I really wanted to, into something like an, I don't know, we couldn't go Avermax, but, you know, it's pretty good. Alright, and here we are going first, and Diameter Exceed is pretty nice, but honestly, Small World and Signet Mining is even better. So we're going to go and activate the small, okay, we're not going to activate the Small World, fine, I wanted to show you guys what we can go through, but it's okay. We're now going to go for the Signet Mining, and I'm actually going to pitch the Imperm. Why am I pitching Imperm? Because Parallel Exceed is cool. Anyway, we're going to go for Circular here. We're going to dump Addition, just so that we have a target for the Diameter. We're going to activate in Chain Circular, then Diameter, so that we don't get ashed. Now, granted, they've already ashed, but habit. We're going to go for the Alimbertion, which will then allow us to search out a Subtraction, since we don't already have it in rotation, and since we already searched out the Super Factorial, might as well go for the Subtraction. This also is now a negate. We have the Alimbertion, so that was summoned with the Diameter, so it's also a negate. But at this point, we're going to go for Splash Mage, which will then trigger the Parallel Exceed. Parallel Exceed will then summon out 2 more monsters, and we're going to go Laplation. Now, this is rather interesting, because normally you don't do this, but because we happen to have the Parallel Exceed as well as another monster, we can actually just rip another card out of our opponent's hand. Pretty crazy. We're going to go for the Splash Mage here, which then allows us to go for Transcode Talker. We are then going to go and activate the Transcode Talker, bring back the Splash Mage, and then go and link those two away for a Heat Soul. So now we have a Heat Soul protected by Transcode Talker, and we have Super Factorial. Now, granted, this isn't the greatest, all things considered. It's basically just Super Factorial and potentially a hand trap where you draw off of Heat Soul, but Super Factorial with 4 cards my opponent has, with the protection that Heat Soul and Transcode Talker has, is pretty decent. We're going to draw a card and draw Diameter. Sure, that's an insane follow-up. My opponent is going to go for Crimson Resonator, and they normal summon Assault Sentinel. Seeing this, I go, oh, I can interact with this. I can send this to the graveyard as well as a card in hand, leaving them on 1 card, which we can just negate. So, yeah, I'm just going to go and activate the Super Factorial. Out comes Diameter, Subtraction, and Circular. We're going to link, Exee all of those into Laplation. We're going to then send 2, rip a card out of their hand, which happens to be a spell, and send the monster away, and under a negate, they realize the game is over. Good game. Alright, and here we are once again going first, and hey, Small World. You'll love to see it. So, I am once again going to activate the Small World to try and get gosh dang it. Okay, fine. I won't activate Small World. It's fine. I will just normal summon Diameter, special summon the Addition, and then go into Alimbersion. Now, obviously, we have to go for ourselves the Circular because it's just that good. So, we're going to go for the Circular. We're going to activate the effect. We're going to dump Sigma because we can, and then we're going to go for the Alimbersion. Alimbersion is then going to special summon the Addition, which will then trigger the Circular to search out Super Factorial. This will then trigger, or well, not trigger, sorry. We can then special summon out the Sigma to get another monster onto our side of the field, and then we can go and link off for Splash Mage. Splash Mage, special summon, link off those, Transcode, you've seen this before. It's the same field, just this time we have an additional hand trap. It's nice. Cool. Gonna go for the Heat Soul here, activate the effect, draw a card, and draw into Ash. You know what? I'm just better. It's fine. So we have the Super Factorial, we have the Infip, and out comes Harpy's Feather Duster. Okay, not a whole lot that I can do about that, sure. And Called By. Oh, yeah, I mean, not a lot I can do there. I forgot to Heat Soul, so we're going to do that now. Draw into the Parallel Exceed. I mean, it's there. We still, at the very least, get to summon out 2 of our monsters, so there's that. At least it's not, like, terrible, but, yeah, it's not the greatest. My opponent is going to normal summon Angeli, which I will promptly Ash, and they will concede. The games kind of look the same, but that's just the deck. Alright, and I promise this game is different. Okay, I'm lying to you. It's the exact same. This time we just drew Exceed, so we can do some other things. So we're going to go for Addition here, and we're going to activate the effect of Addition in order to go for Lingaribo. Now, I'm kind of expecting them to have something like Infip. That's more or less telegraphed here. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go for the Lingaribo. Hopefully we can negate something like that. But yeah, out comes the Exceed. They will Ash that. That is a terrible Ash, but okay. I'm going to now Exee summon into Alimbersion. Alimbersion is going to activate its effect. We're going to detach in order to search out a Circular. We're then going to special summon the Circular in order to dump a Sigma. And then we are going to tribute our own Alimbersion, which realistically I should have actually tributed away my Lingaribo, which would have given me the option to go for the to special summon out the Sigma. So I should have done that. Little bit of a mistake, but that's fine. We're going to search out the Super Factorial here, and then we can link off both of those for Splash Mage. We're going to activate the Splash Mage, and then special summon out our Diameter, and then we can link off those for Transcode Talker. Transcode Talker is then going to bring back the Splash Mage, and then we can link off both of the other 2 materials in order to go for Heat Soul, protected from targeting, and drawn to Exceed. I don't know how. Anyway, my opponent is going to go and activate their Labyrinth, Stovey, which is going to then set Labyrinth, which is fine by me. We have Cosmic Cyclone and also Super Factorial. And we draw Effect Veiler for turn. My opponent is going to activate this and then set 2. And at that point I go, oh, cool. They have 1 card left in hand. I'm going to get rid of it. And also I'm going to also Cosmic Cyclone them because I can. So yeah, we're going to go for Laplation here. We're going to deal with one of their spells and traps. And we're also going to deal with the card in hand. Welcome Labyrinth and Compulse. Fantastic. We're also going to Cosmic Cyclone, the last card. My opponent concedes, and what can I say? I'm just that good. That's a joke. That's obviously... Alright, we're back with the deck, and... yeah, it's just Cyber stuff. I don't know what I expected. However, it's Cyber stuff with Tri-Brigade Revolt. It's decent. It does stuff. It's fun. It really loses in the grind game. That is the biggest issue that I have found with Mathmech. Yes, if you activate a super factorial and you're able to get the loplation and you're able to rip cards out of your opponent's hand, it is incredible disruption. And if your Heat Soul sticks, you're just doing great. However, if you don't draw specifically Diameter, you have, like, no follow-up. Your follow-up is, like, maybe you happened to have drawn, like, 2 Mathmechs that could maybe get you into a Splash Mage, which could also do some other things. Who knows? Let's just say that it does. But in reality, most of the time, you're not really doing a whole lot. If your, like, super factorial gets stopped, you just die. It's just the end of the game. So, I know what you're saying. Well, why not play 2? Well, first of all, it's a hard one, so playing a second one doesn't really do anything. And 2, it's good, and if it gets stopped, the game is probably over anyway. Drawing another one isn't really going to help. You need to be in control of the game the entire time, and the way to do that is by ripping cards out of your hand, out of the field, etc., with the loplation, right? And having that additional negate. Now, granted, we can also just easily OTK with things like access code, and yes, I did make the Avermax. It did come up, and I almost won with it, but I actually didn't, because of... No, I think I did. I think I did win with this one. No, I didn't, because I was playing against Branded, and I did the Avermax, and then it got sent away because they went for Albaz, and I didn't really have anything, and I spun the card away, and then nothing happened because I didn't have anything. I just drew like a bunch of hand traps. So yeah, really good if you're able to get your play started and you're able to actually play the game. Even going second, you can slow your opponent down, but once your original play gets stopped, or at the very least, if it gets played through, you just kind of don't have anything. If you're not able to just OTK with access code, you just kind of die. Now, granted, I think a second Alimbertion would help significantly with that, but then you'd have to cut a lot of the other cards in your deck, and more specifically, it's only kind of good. Yes, you could add another Mathmech card, but then again, it's like, it's not really worth it to play a second Super Factorial, and if your play gets stopped anyway, it's still going to be a problem, and like, getting 2 additional 4s onto your side of the field is also pretty difficult. So I don't know. I'm sure that there's a way that you could make it a little bit less bad in the grind game, but as for me, I'm not the one to ask for this. Anyway, it's a cool deck. I like it. That's going to be it for this episode. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy it. If you did, a like is very much so appreciated. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh!, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.